The paradox of freedom. Are we truly free? It's often safer to be in chains than to be free. Franz Kafka. Freedom is a word we cherish, a concept we strive for. Yet, Kafka challenges us with this unsettling thought. What if chains offer more safety than freedom? What if, in our relentless pursuit of freedom, we are walking deeper into an inescapable labyrinth? We tell ourselves that more choices, more independence, more autonomy will lead to fulfillment. But what if the truth is far more unsettling? What if the more we strive for freedom, the more we chain ourselves to unseen forces, our desires, our fears, and the social systems that promise to liberate but only control us further? The illusion of freedom, the chains we cannot see. The modern world offers the seductive promise of boundless freedom. We are told that we are free to choose our paths, free to define ourselves, free to pursue happiness however we see fit. But as Kafka's words remind us, true freedom might not be as liberating as we think. The very act of seeking freedom can create chains of its own, chains we do not even realize exist until they are too tight to break. The paradox of choice, so central to modern life, is one of the ways we unknowingly entrap ourselves. We believe that the more options we have, the freer we are. But endless choices do not lead to fulfillment. They lead to paralysis. Psychologists call this the paradox of choice. The more we can choose, the less satisfied we are with our decisions, and the more anxious we become about missing out on better possibilities. The illusion of control. Are our choices really our own? We tell ourselves that we are the masters of our own destiny. We make choices every day: what career to pursue, where to live, who to love. But how many of these choices are truly free? How many are driven by deeper, unseen forces? Neuroscience suggests that free will, the very foundation of our belief in freedom, might be an illusion. Studies have shown that our brains often make decisions milliseconds before we become consciously aware of them. This unsettling discovery challenges everything we think we know about autonomy. Are we really free to make choices, or are we just acting out scripts written by our subconscious mind? Camus, in The Myth of Sisyphus, gives us a vision of human existence that is both absurd and tragic. His image of Sisyphus endlessly rolling a boulder up a hill speaks to the repetitive, futile nature of our pursuit of meaning and control. We may think we are free to shape our lives, but are we simply playing out roles in a cycle of absurdity? At this moment, the audience is forced to confront the uncomfortable truth. Much of what we believe to be free will is already conditioned by our upbringing, society, and even our biology. We are not as free as we think we are. We are part of a larger game, one whose rules we do not fully understand. The cost of freedom: responsibility as a burden. Freedom is not just about the ability to choose, it's about responsibility. The responsibility for the consequences of those choices. This is where freedom becomes burdensome. Sartre famously said, "Man is condemned to be free." With freedom comes the heavy weight of having to define our own meaning in a world that offers no easy answers. But with that liberation comes the crushing realization that there is no preordained purpose. We must create our own, and that is terrifying. For many, this responsibility is overwhelming. In a society that glorifies individual freedom, people are left adrift, searching for meaning. Camus called this the absurdity of life, our constant desire to find purpose in a purposeless world. This is where freedom becomes paradoxical. The more we are free to define our existence, the more meaningless it feels. The freedom to choose becomes a curse, trapping us in a cycle of existential doubt. This inner conflict creates a suspenseful dynamic. Freedom is both liberating and suffocating. The audience is drawn into this paradox, forced to confront the weight of their own freedom. Every choice they make is theirs, but every consequence is theirs to bear as well. The freedom to be powerless. Kafka's exploration of alienation is not just about being physically trapped, but mentally and existentially bound. His character's struggles for freedom reveal a deep truth about modern life, that the systems we live in, the legal, economic, and social frameworks that claim to offer freedom are often the very things that trap us. In the trial, Joseph K. is arrested without ever knowing the nature of his crime. He spends the novel battling an incomprehensible legal system, convinced that if he can just make the right move, he can regain control. But the more he fights, the more powerless he becomes. This Kafkaesque sense of being overwhelmed by an indifferent system resonates deeply with our own experience of freedom in the modern world. We are free, yet we constantly feel powerless. This alienation is not just a matter of external control, it's internal. We become alienated from ourselves. In a world where freedom is equated with consumption and status, we lose sight of who we are. The endless pursuit of what we think will free us, success, wealth, recognition, only pulls us further away from our true selves. Kafka's nightmare is that the systems designed to offer us freedom are the same ones that dehumanize us, turning us into cogs in a vast, incomprehensible machine. And here is the true tragedy. We believe we are exercising freedom, but in reality, we are simply following paths laid out for us, walking deeper into the labyrinth, unaware of the chains we drag behind us. A spiritual perspective. True freedom transcends the mere absence of constraints or the ability to make choices. It delves into the realm of inner awareness, self-realization, and a profound understanding of the nature of existence. Spiritual teachings from various traditions emphasize that true freedom lies not in external circumstances, but in the liberation of the mind and spirit. The freedom of inner awareness. Great spiritual masters often stress the importance of inner awareness as the foundation of true freedom. This awareness allows individuals to see beyond the illusions of the external world. Buddha, for instance, teaches that suffering arises from attachment and ignorance. He said, "There is no fear for one whose mind is not filled with desires." This highlights that true freedom comes from mastering one's own mind. By recognizing and letting go of attachments, individuals can achieve a state of inner peace and liberation. Freedom, then, is not about acquiring more, but about shedding the illusions that bind us. Rumi, the 13th century Sufi mystic, eloquently expresses this sentiment in his poetry. "Why are you so busy with this or that, or good or bad? Pay attention to how things blend." This metaphor speaks to the idea that our struggles and suffering can lead us to a deeper understanding of ourselves, ultimately liberating us from the chains of our ego and desires. True freedom, according to Rumi, is found in embracing our inner journey and transforming our wounds into wisdom. The Stoic perspective on freedom. Stoicism offers a profound framework for understanding freedom through the lens of self-control and virtue. Epictetus, a prominent Stoic philosopher, famously stated, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them." This quote underscores the Stoic belief that true freedom arises from our perceptions and responses to external events, rather than the events themselves. For the Stoics, freedom is the ability to govern one's mind and emotions, regardless of external circumstances. Marcus Aurelius further emphasizes this idea in his Meditations. "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This perspective teaches that the ultimate freedom lies in mastering oneself, as it is our inner state that determines our experience of freedom. The Stoic path encourages individuals to cultivate resilience, virtue, and wisdom. By focusing on what is within our control, our thoughts, actions, and attitudes, we can achieve a sense of inner freedom that remains unshaken by the chaos of the external world. The surrender to true freedom. Spiritual teachings frequently point to surrender as a pathway to true freedom. Byron Katie, a contemporary spiritual teacher, asserts, "When you argue with reality, you lose, but only 100% of the time." This highlights the liberating power of acceptance. True freedom arises when we let go of our resistance to what is, embracing life as it unfolds without the need to control every aspect. In surrendering our need for control and acceptance of our present circumstances, we find liberation from the burdens of expectation and desire. The act of surrender becomes a powerful transformative practice, allowing individuals to step into their inherent freedom. True freedom is not a mere absence of external constraints. It is a profound inner state characterized by awareness, self-mastery, acceptance, and connectedness. Through the teachings of spiritual masters and Stoic philosophers, we learn that freedom is cultivated within, emerging from our understanding of ourselves and our relationship with the world. In this paradoxical journey, we realize that by turning inward, embracing our struggles, and mastering our perceptions, we can experience the liberation we so deeply crave. This inner freedom is not a destination, but a continuous journey, a path that leads us closer to the essence of what it means to be truly free.